There's a formula to it, a very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect. I'm John Renton with the retro review of Scream, directed by Wes Craven, who breathed new life into the slasher genre, written by Kevin Williamson, and is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Do I recognize it as dated? Absolutely, with the fashions and the technology and the fact that it makes fun of slasher cliches while crafting its own slasher movie. I do recognize that it is dated and it is a bit ridiculous, but I just love it because it knows what it is. It doesn't try to be anything different. Everybody's smart, and it's just a perfect melting pot of just craziness and smarts and characters that know horror movies but also get trapped in the same horror cliches. It's just really goddamn good. Wes Craven knew exactly what he was doing, and yes, the sequels vary in quality from here on out, but this was just absolutely perfect. I remember watching this in theaters, and I was only 15 years old, but I was fortunate enough to be able to watch it, and man, I loved it, and I've loved it ever since. And it's just really goddamn good. So this is obviously going to be a, majorly, fan-oriented review because I just absolutely love it. Now, if you're not familiar with the plot, basically you have Neve Campbell's character, Sydney, who lost her mother a year prior. She was brutally murdered. The killer is in jail. Cotton Weary, played by Liev Schreiber, who would factor into the other movies a little bit more, especially the second movie. Third one, not so much. The third one I may retro review at some point. That one was a bit messy because of production hell and a bunch of different rewrites and everything. And oh boy, I like some of it, but good lord. One thing I have to praise though is the soundtrack. The soundtrack is absolutely wonderful from beginning to end. I goddamn love it. But anyway, back to the plot. Sydney is trying to put her life back together. She has boyfriend Billy, played by Skeet Ulrich. She has friends that reference pop culture and horror movies and stuff like that. Like, and other movies, like, the killer could easily have been a woman. Basic Instinct, Rose McGowan's in this before she kind of went a little bit nuts. Jamie Kennedy, he was, just great in this. Matthew Lillard, and so many others. Hell, they had Henry Winkler, the Fonz as the principal. They just had so many cool characters and just stuff like this, and such a breezy pace about it. So anyway, Sydney's mother had died. She's trying to, put her life back together. There's the news reporter, Gail Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, who later became Courtney Cox Arquette, and now is just Courtney Cox again. There's the Deputy Dewey, played by David Arquette, in one of his best roles, in all honesty. I actually kind of wish that David Arquette had gotten a little bit, more of a chance to sink his teeth into some leading roles in Hollywood. I don't know whether he would have succeeded, but it would have been quite good, because he was good comedy fodder here, and he actually showed that he had the chops to pull off a role like this, as well as many others. But what was just great about this was the beginning. You had Drew Barrymore basically bringing her career back to life. I mean, she had a lot of issues early on in her life, and she was great as Casey, the girl that was, making popcorn and everything. She gets a call, hello, it's like all that, just all the stuff, talking to Ghostface, great voice, by the way, over the phone. And of course, since it's 1996, cell phones weren't really ingratiate into society, essentially. So you had a lot of home phone stuff. Though there's one dated line that particularly makes me go, ooh, god damn, I am so old. She's talking to a guy that everything seems fine, talking about horror movies, talking about like, how great horror movies are, and, making, she's talking about like how Halloween's her favorite horror movie, stuff like that, and then mentions Nightmare on Elm Street. She tries to guess the voice on the phone, their favorite horror movie. And it's like, the Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers? Yeah, Freddy Krueger. Yeah, Freddy, I like that. It was scary. Well, the first one was, but the rest sucked. Wes Craven poking fun at the fact that, well, let's be honest, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise has gone up and down, and the 2010 version was the ultimate down. How far do you have to fall to get, further down than any of the sequels? I mean, maybe outside of, A New Nightmare. But anyway, this was terrific because things get a little more sinister. She mentions earlier she doesn't have a boyfriend, and then suddenly she says, I got a boyfriend, he's big and he plays football and he'll beat the shit out of you. And then, I'm scared, I'm shaking in my boots. His name wouldn't be Steve, would it? And then he's trapped on the patio. Just this perfectly crafted plan. She has to guess, she has to get horror movie trivia right. And then, guess the killer in Halloween. What's the name of the killer in Halloween? Michael Myers. Yeah, Great, good, very good. Now for the real question. Name the killer in Friday the 13th. Jason, I'm sorry, that's the wrong answer. And then she's like, I saw that movie 20 goddamn times. Like, well, you should know that Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Jason didn't show up until the sequel. And even at 15 years old, I'm like, oh, you dumb bit. I mean, she was going to die anyway, and so was the boyfriend. But still, it's like, oh, fear drives you to say stupid shit. And then the boyfriend gets gutted. And then what door am I at? She gets targeted and beat up and then stabbed. And her parents get home. And just that really, really great how they mix humor and horrifying stuff with the jump scare music and everything. She gets stabbed. She manages to fight him off. And then she can't really say anything that loud because she got stabbed. Like, she's like, Mom. She's like trying to say it. And she ends up getting killed like mere feet from her parents. She gets killed. She rips the mask off. This is the one funny thing, though. The one thing that I've never understood about this. And then I'll get a little bit more into the rest of the movie. But I don't mean to harp on the opening, because the opening is actually terrific, except for the very end. So the parents are there. The mother hears her, on the phone. Oh my God, I can hear her. And, because the phone's on the, like still going. And then the killer hangs up the phone like, hey, does this. So that right there is like, okay, he's still dragging Casey's body away. 1 minute later, the mother's out on the porch. And she does the scream where she gets balls up and does this. Casey's body is found in the tree. Now, I'm not saying that the killer couldn't have done that and gutted her body and everything in a minute. Now, I know slasher movies, tend to extend logic and everything, but it's absolutely ridiculous how they manage to do that. It's just fucking hilarious. I've never understood how somebody was able to do that. I mean, yes, maybe 2 killers, but still 2 people being able to get a dead body up there in a tree in a minute. There ain't no way to believe. But it is what it is. And then we cut to Sydney, who's dealing with the after effects of her mother's death and typing on a computer, which, my God, that computer was the size of a freaking brick. And I'm not talking like, like a little like brick you put in a house. I'm talking like one of those big concrete block bricks that takes like 3 people to, carry it. And Billy shows up in her window and everything, and she's kind of nervous about sex and this kind of stuff. The typical, teenage version played by 23-year-old Neve Campbell, by the way. But whatever, they've had 20-somethings or even early 30-somethings play teenagers in movies like Lucy Hale in Truth or Dare. And now I'm upset because Truth or Dare was put into my head again. God damn, still not as bad as Fantasy Island. Anyway, so they kind of, get a little bit busy, but she still doesn't want to do it. The dad's going to take off on a business trip. He's left money on the table and everything, and we never see the dad again until a little bit later. And the soundtrack, I gotta say again, the soundtrack, the nostalgia, I love the soundtrack. I actually used to own the soundtrack. I have it on an iPod, and I love the soundtrack because I love Marco Beltrami's music. His score is just great. He did great work in the other Scream movies. I know he did the music for a few other movies where I remembered, I go, I swear to God, this is him. And it turned out to be him. He does great music. He just understands how to capture the tone, slasher movie, action movie, whatever it is. And Principal Fonzie, one thing though, where he's like, hey, Sydney, these police need to talk to you. Are you okay? He touches her chin kind of like that. And were they going to imply that Principal Fonz was a bit of a perv? Bit weird that. I don't know why that leapt out to me. And it's always leapt out to me, but it is what it is. And then Casey, Skeet Ulrich's character Billy, or not Casey, but Tatum, Rose McGowan's character, and Stewart, Matthew Lillard's character, Billy and Sydney are all around a water fountain that all high schools have, and they're talking about Casey's death, Casey and her boyfriend, and oh no, what happens? Like, how do you gut somebody? And then Stewart's trying to describe that, or Stu. I'm just going to call him Stu because that's what they call him. Trying to describe that, and Jamie Kennedy, who's just fucking great as Randy. He really was great. Talking about all this. Oh, did you put her liver in the mailbox? I heard you put her liver in the mailbox. And they're talking all this stuff. And Stu's like, you better leave her alone. Which, I mean, what kind of person would make stupid puns like that to, get away from tragedy? I never would. Would I lie? Anyway. So, yeah, the jump scare music is a bit ridiculous, but it also fits because it's making fun while also getting you into the movie. Very brief appearance by Lee Schreiber as Cotton Weary on a news report. Here's a question, though, and this is just a picture. It's not even knocking the actress. Why did Sydney's mother look 75 in those pictures? Like, I cannot get over that. I just don't understand. Sydney knows her horror movie cliches. Oh, some, stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be running out the front door. It's insulting. And then she's talking to the killer, who's in her house. She says, she's like, oh, what am I doing? She's like picking her nose, like, oh, you can see me? Oh, you can't. Oh, Randy, just, do this. Like, you hang up on me, you're gonna die, just like your mother. You want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't. And then she gets upset and shuts the door. And then the killer's in the closet, and Sydney runs up the door because she forgot how to open up a deadbolt. I mean, whatever. When you're in a panic situation, it is what it is. So Billy shows up all of a sudden. Oh no, who was it? Was it Billy? Was it Stewart? Was it real? Was it Memorex? She's trying to type up on that old computer technology because the phone's off the hook, and she's trying to type up for 911. And I don't know why that made me laugh, because I'm just like, God damn, that to think that in 25 years, it's been almost 25 years since, to the day that this movie was released. I think it was released sometime in November, December of 96. This was just, it was terrific, because I'm just like, God damn, some stuff is so old. Billy got arrested because a cell phone popped out of his pocket. Oh no, Gale's on the case. And then we get a little bit, something a little bit later. The one line that dates this movie so much, the sheriff asking Billy, tell me, son, what were you doing with a cellular telephone? Fuck you, movie, for making me feel old. And they're, Sydney and Tatum are there, and Tatum, as they basically made Rose McGowan out to be, because good God, like, she was wearing nothing but, like, tight sweaters that were showing them off. Like, maybe that was intentional, I don't know, but her and Sydney go to leave. Dewey's like, oh, you should really treat me with respect. When mom says, when, I wear this badge, you treat me like a man of the law. I'm sorry, Dewey, all that. Dewey got kind of made the butt of jokes, and then his backstory, or his, character got a little bit more ridiculous as things went on. But David Arquette played it well. And then Gale finds her in the back alleyway, because what good reporter wouldn't do that? And Sydney's like, oh, you're just doing your job. Well, congratulations on the book. I'll send you a copy. Boom! Just hits her. And that was a really good part. And then Tatum and her are talking. Just some really, really good shit here. Poor Billy boyfriend. The innocent guy doesn't stand a chance with you. Jerry O'Connell would find that out in the next movie. But the killer's calling like, oh, no, it's not him, because there's two killers. So naturally, that's how they would avoid that little bit of logic. Chat with Gale, you still think he's innocent, don't you? It's like, oh, your testimony put him away and all that. And so it was kind of cool how, they kept going with this. Maybe it wasn't Cotton Weary. Maybe Cotton Weary sent the people out. Nope, it's a lot more simple than that. Then people start playing pranks on Sydney, doing the Ghostface stuff and whatever, wearing the costume. The Ghostface thing, obviously this, in case you don't know, in case you've been living under a rock or living under the rock. Make sure that The Rock knows that and actually wants that. Anyway, moving on. People keep playing tricks, and then Tatum's is like, hits Stu with a sucker. I don't know why. Stupidity leak. It's right around the time of Clueless. Everybody was just doing something stupid, like as if. So Sydney and Billy have a heart-to-heart. Like, he's like, well, when my mom left, when my mom left, I got over it and everything. Oh, your mother's not lying in a coffin somewhere. Sorry, I want my girlfriend back. And Then there are these two girls that are talking while Sydney's in a stall and they don't even realize it. And they say, oh, maybe she's just a you-know-what, just like her mother, sleeping around. She was a tramp, all this. And the killer's in the bathroom. Or somebody's in the bathroom playing a trick on Sydney. And Gale and Dewey are talking. It was funny. They cut to this one news reporter. And one of the news reporters was Linda Blair in an uncredited role. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. But this one news reporter is saying, the lives of Casey and Steve, have already been ended. Who's next? It's me. It's me, isn't it? No, wait, no. It's shockingly, somebody, far more important than me. Be a bit weird if I was in one of these movies. Gale and Dewey are talking, obviously. There's a bit of chemistry. They were together for a while, and it was kind of cool how they met on set and everything. But School suspended until further notice. And then Stu's like, it's like, oh, I don't know what you did, Sydney, but on behalf of the entire student body, we say thank you. And then we go from there. So Principal Fonz gets knocked up, and not before finding the janitor there, dressed like Freddy Krueger, says, "Not you, Fred." Oh, prick! And then he gets killed, which is kind of funny. Cool shot of the killer in the guy's Henry Winkler's eye, just a killer in the eye, not like not with a Winkler of the eye. Oh God, missed the opportunity to say that one. Oh, you're gonna sound like some Wes Carpenter flick or something. Get it? Because pop culture. Why not? So, video stores. Oh, how I miss you. It was like if Hollywood Video and Blockbuster had a baby, but they didn't want to put their label on it. Actually, there was a video store it reminded me of called S&S Video. In retrospect, that name probably wasn't the best name to go with, but man, I miss video stores. And then the horror stuff. Randy's talking about prom night and everything. Oh, it's got to be the boyfriend and this kind of stuff because Billy's there. If you were the prime suspect, would you be out there in a video store, or would you be out in public like this? And Stu's like, oh, he didn't have anything to do with it. Hey, now that Billy tried to flare, you think Sid would go out with me? He's like, huh? He's trying to laugh. He's like, no, I don't at all. And they go, if they watch prom night, they save time. There's a formula to it, a very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect, and they do that and go through all this. And Red Right Hand, one of my favorite songs. Like, just really, it's just so goddamn good. Oh, it's like the town that dreads sundown. Again, more pop culture references. And killers in the grocery store. Somehow. There's just somebody dressed in... First, it was like when Tatum and Sydney were like walking around the whole, Wes Carpenter thing. And then the killers in the woods, they're just nearby. And then one of the killers is in the grocery store, like reflected. So, are we to believe that there are possibly, I don't know, like more than 2 killers? No, there's just 2. We're just going to ignore that logic loophole. Party time. Say a prayer for the youth of America. God bless our youth America. I'm not going to try to sing that. Jamie Lee Curtis is the Scream Queen. She was one of the original Scream Queens, if not the original, in all honesty. She really did popularize that. And then Tatum's told to go to the garage to get more beer. Who am I, the beer wench? Gail manages to get there with Dewey. Because Dewey shows up, he's going to keep an eye on the party in this isolated farmhouse, because that's where parties always end well in slasher movies, in an isolated farmhouse in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. So Gail manages to have a camera there, she's got her newsman there, and it turns out there's a 30-second delay. Tatum is in the garage. Gee, was it cold in the garage, I wonder? If you know, she could have got glass with those things. So anyway... you want to play Psycho Killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Oh, it turns out she actually is. I don't know who ended up killing her. Probably Stu, because he was messed up. And Tatum's in the pet door. Man, just got, she'd lose her head if it wasn't attached, and it's not attached anymore. Party picks up even as people leave. They're watching more horror movies. Sydney and Billy don't fear the Reaper. They have a heart-to-heart, and they start fucking, because why not in this movie? When you accidentally, accuse somebody of committing a crime, why not fuck them to make it up for it? Why not? Why not do? Don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure you actually have feelings for somebody, and it's not out of guilt. Not the best way to do things. Randy talks about the rules of horror movies. You can't have sex, and everybody's throwing stuff and everything, and it's like, oh, don't say I'll be right back, because you won't be back. Hey, I'm going to get a beer. You want one? Sure. Stu, I'll be right back. And doing that. More people leave. The principal was found dead hanging on the goalpost, and everybody leaves like, hey, let's go get his body before anybody gets to him. Yeah, great. That's what you do with the Fonz. Hey. So, Dewey and Gail walk. They almost get hit by the car as they're speeding away while drunk to get to the principal's body. And they end up kissing, because that's what you do when you land on top of somebody that you almost get hit by, who almost gets hit by a car the same as you. You kiss them. In possibly a cow pile in the middle of, butt-fuck nowhere near a farmhouse. And then Billy gets stabbed after, having sex. Oh no, he's not a virgin anymore. She's not a virgin anymore. Sydney's all frightened. What the hell's going on? And Randy's watching Halloween, and we have the music cues and everything. Oh, he's right behind you. What'd I tell you? And then the killer's right behind Randy. But there's a 30-second delay on the video. And Sydney sees us. What the hell's going on? Oh, damn, I got a 30-second delay because, Sydney's freaking out. And then the cameraman gets killed. And then she gets in, and then, what happened? Oh, no, what the hell is going on? Sydney manages to get away. Gail ends up crashing the van because the camera guy is on it, and then right into a tree because she ends up almost hitting Sydney and swerves away to avoid. Dewey ends up stabbed off camera, yet he's found on camera. He's like stabbed somewhere and then manages to find his way back to the house, and then knives pulled out, but apparently he's okay. Even though he's been laying there for a few hours, he's going to end up being okay. The killer magically, pops open the trunk of the car and then tries to get at Sydney. And then Stu and Randy are arguing, oh no, Randy did it. He killed Tatum. What the hell's he doing? Billy then stumbles down the stairs. Stu's flipped out. He's gone mad. Randy's somehow in the house, just back in the house. We all go a little mad sometimes. And Billy's one of the killers. Pretends to be shocked. Randy was right. He knows his horror movies. It didn't stop him from getting off in the second movie, which I wish he wouldn't have, even though it was a cool kill. But anyway, it's Billy and Stu. Well, your mother, was fucking my father. And she's the reason that my mother ran off and abandoned me. Talk about abandonment issues and all this stuff, and why Stu and Billy did what they did, and they got Sydney's father right there, and they're going to make it look. They cloned a cell phone. They're going to have it where they got stabbed, and then Sydney got killed, and then he shoots himself in the head. Perfect plan! Except they're both psychos. Movies don't create psychos. They make psychos more creative, and they start stabbing each other more because they are unhinged jackasses. As things go on, they're like, oh, Stu's bleeding. Actually, there's this funny line a little bit later. Gail's got a gun, but the safety's on. She gets knocked out. Skeet Ulrich does do this really cool neck crack thing. Oh, it's better with the safety off. Does that. Maybe Chill Factor might have been the reason why Skeet Ulrich's career went downhill, because Chill Factor was really bad. Remember that movie? I'm sorry if you do, because it was bad. Sydney and her father somehow get away, and Stu's bleeding really bad, and then they're picking up the phone, trying to figure out where the hell where the hell Sydney is, and Billy throws the phone, hits Stu. You hit me with the phone, you dick. And he's like, did you really call my parents? Yeah, my mother and my parents are going to be so mad. And then, of course, Sydney stabs Billy with an umbrella. Ella, A. And Stu, I've always had a thing for you, Sid. And she manages to knee him in the groin, flip him over, and then throw a TV on him. And let me tell you right now, those box TVs in the 90s really could hurt. I had one fall on my foot. Fortunately, it was a broken TV. Hurt a lot. Don't ask stupid people to help you move things. So Stu's dead. And I mean, the graveyard dead. There ain't no way, there ain't no coming back from that. And Billy's knocked down, but he's Randy's like suddenly back up after getting shot. He's like, oh, I probably should be dead. I never thought I'd be so happy to be a virgin. And then Billy slugs him and is starting to choke out Sydney. He's like, say hello to your mother. She grabs his wound. And then Gale shoots him a few times. And then Randy says, careful, this is when the killer always comes back for one more scare. And that's it right there. Dewey is somehow still alive. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because they want to continue with the characters. And then Gale reports on the killings. Whisper to a Scream on the credits by Soho, I believe is the name of the band. Actually, the better version, even though the original version of Whisper to a Scream is a really, really good. I love this movie. I love it. I know I recount a whole lot of stuff and its review's gone on a while, but I goddamn love it. Because it's just so good. It's so instantly quotable. I could not have the captions on for this movie and quote at least 85% of it. It's just that good. It's one of my favorite movies of all time because it's nostalgia, everything wrapped into one. I recognize it's got crow's feet on it. And it's got its issues that, come with slasher movies. But still, it's so fucking great. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, by the way. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.